In the previous videos, we've seen some basics and you've been pretty much introduced to some very fundamentals here that have to do with modeling and object creation and a little bit of manipulation here in 3ds Max when it comes to working with objects and editable polys. Okay, what we're going to be doing from now on in this tutorial is we're actually going to be working on production work. We're going to be taking the tools in 3ds Max as well as some professional techniques and some tips that I'm going to be showing you. Actually, a lot of tips that I'm going to be showing you. And we're going to use all that information, all that knowledge, and all those techniques and tools in 3ds Max. And we're going to create ourselves a pretty complex scene here. We're going to be working on a pretty dense project that's going to be broken up across various tutorials. In this tutorial, as I've said again, the emphasis is on polygon modeling. So we're not going to be creating organic type objects. We'll be doing that in another tutorial later on with sub-Ds or subdivision surfaces. In this one though, we're going to focus on all low-res geometry, hard surface objects. We're going to be doing a lot of things here. Things like walls and floors and ceilings and different fixtures and details and doors and doorways, and the list goes on and on and on. Okay, so let's have a look and see what it is that we're going to be working on. What I'll do is I'll come up here to the rendering menu and I'll go to View Image File. And 3ds Max, since we have our project folder already selected and loaded up, it's automatically going to go into the Images folder by default. It's automatically going to go into the Images folder by default, which is a very good thing. I'm going to go to the Concept Images folder, and I'm going to select Concept 1, hit Open, and we get ourselves this window here. And if I go ahead, and we get ourselves this window here. If I go ahead and hold down the Control key and click with the right mouse button, I can zoom out here a little bit. So if you're zoomed in too close, hit the right mouse button while holding down Control to zoom out, and hit the left mouse button while holding down Control to zoom in. You can also pan around the image with the middle mouse button. Just go ahead and click and drag the middle mouse button. You can pan around. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out here so we can see what it is we're working with. So I've got about 9 concept images here of our concept scene here. As you can see in the concept images, it's just a basic concept. You don't see any furnishings. You don't see the tables and chairs and all kinds of details and things like that. All you see is the basic overall visual look here of the space and the geometry of what we're going to be creating. So we're going to be focusing on an interior here in just this space here, basically this main sort of area here of the house, this main entrance area. The living room area is going to be pretty much the focus of our project. We're not going to be modeling, a mansion here with 15 rooms and all that. That would take forever to do. So we're just going to focus on this area of the house. So we can see it's a 2-story house. We have ourselves some hallways here with some archways. Here's the main entrance, the main door, which is a double door. We also have a staircase here, and we're going to have an interior balcony here that is pretty much a hallway. It connects a couple of halls here of the house. We have ourselves lots of windows, so we have a nice light setup here that we're going to have. Lots of lights going to be able to come in from the outside. Let's go ahead and click up here just to go to our next concept image. So basically, the previous image is looking a little bit to the left here. The right image, just imagine you're standing there and you just tilt your head to the right a little bit, about 45 degrees, and this is what you would see. Here's the other end of this balcony here, the hallway it connects to. Okay, there's our main entrance again, our staircase. We have ourselves another hallway here, very similar to this one, only this one is a single-sized or single door width hallway, and this is sort of like a double door sided or sized hallway right here. So it's much wider. But we also have the archway here, sort of this nice soft arch, which looks pretty neat. Okay, right here we're still on the first floor, and here's the staircase. So imagine you just came into the front entrance and walk to the stairs and then turn to the right. You would see this little hallway. Here's the archway here of the sort of a narrower hallway, and the hallway has a door here right in front of us, and then to the left and right there's a door on each side. And again, our focus is going to be on creating this area of the house We're not actually going to model all these different rooms in, because that would take a really long time. This would be a super long tutorial, and the idea is to focus on this area of the house and put all our efforts in this area and make this area look really nice. And once you learn how to do that, you'll have all the skills and knowledge necessary to go ahead and model a full house. So let's go here, and you can see in this concept image, here's the large hallway here that we saw before, the double door sized one. Okay, so we can see we have these double doors here with sort of an arch shaped doorway there, so it's pretty interesting. There's the balcony you can see up there on the top. Here we're upstairs. We're on that hallway in the balcony. Okay, there's our staircase down here. So if we were to come into the main entrance and walk upstairs, make a left, and walk to this end of the hallway, then turn around and face the direction that we came from, this is what we would see. We would see this door here in front of us. Then there's a door here to the left at the end of that hallway. Okay, so there's probably another room right there. If I go to the next image, this is the opposite spot. So basically we walked toward the staircase and just made a 180-degree turn and faced behind us where we came from. So this is basically the spot right here where we're standing at, this perspective looking from here on that way. So basically we were standing in this spot just a moment ago. So this is sort of a deeper hallway here, and we can see there's a door again in front of us and a door to the left and to the right. Now in this one there is no hallway in this section here. There's kind of this sort of recession here into the wall and in the door. So it's kind of an interesting shape there. Okay. Now if we look here, here's the staircase on the right. This is basically as if though we walked in through the main entrance, the double doors, and we're just looking at the back wall here that we couldn't see before from the other concept images. So it's basically a back wall with about 12 of these very tall vertically shaped windows here, these rectangular windows, which let a lot of light into this room, which is a good thing. It's going to look really nice. Okay, we can start to see also the ceiling here has a pretty interesting shape to it. So let's go to the next concept image, and here we get a nice shot of the ceiling. So the ceiling is sort of this interesting shape that has sort of this step shape to it, or this look to it. Looks almost like inverted steps, so it goes up and then up and then up again. And then we have a skylight up here. So our ceiling's going to have this nice skylight up here. And here's the frame of the skylight. So it's probably going to be a wood-looking frame here, and then there's going to be these glass panels right there, which we obviously can't see in the concept image. They're clear. They're completely see-through. Alright, and that's going to let a lot of light, natural light from outside, come into our space, and it's going to help to light it up really nice. So let's go back to these again, just really quick, and I encourage you to study these. It's really important when you're doing something like this to have some kind of visual reference, whether it's images from photographs, or if it's images created from just concepts, just drawings, concept art, paintings, quick sketches, whatever you've got is going to help. I usually say that you can never really have too much reference or image reference when you're working on something in 3D. The more reference you have, the better. Okay? So this is the space that we're going to be creating. Now we have two aids, two things to help us create this environment here. One, of course, is the concept images that we just looked at. This is going to give us a good visual feel and look to the 3D space that we're going to be creating. But we've also got some blueprints that are going to give us exact measurements, and it's going to be sort of like a skeleton to work on, so that we know exactly where everything goes. So we know what the height of the bottom of this balcony is, what the height of our doorways are going to be, the staircase, the top of the staircase here. You know, what's the height from the floor to the top of the staircase here in this first section? What's the height of the ceiling? What's the height of the ceiling inside these hallways? Those are some very important questions that need to be answered. Fortunately, I did create some blueprints that we're going to be able to use for reference when it comes to exact measurements and things like that. So we have one form of reference here that's just conceptual. It's not precise. It's just conceptual and visual. And then of course we have blueprints that are not visual or conceptual, so it's hard to see what the final product's going to look like, but their purpose is basically to give us information in terms of measurements and exact dimensions, things like that. So when you put these two concepts together, this visual concepting here, these images that we have, and you combine that with blueprints that give you exact measurements and dimensions and sizes of all these different elements of our environment, or whatever it is that we're creating, in this case this environment, then we're going to have enough concepts, enough information, enough data to go ahead and create this nice 3D space inside of 3ds Max. Okay, so let me close that concept image. Alright, so what we're going to be working this tutorial, again, we're going to be working on low-res stuff. Some stuff's going to be high-res, but based on polygons. We're just going to focus on polygon modeling, so we're not really going to create many, if any, organic type surfaces. That is, surfaces that are curved, things like a vase, or anything that has any type of curvature to it. We're not going to be doing in this tutorial. We're going to be focusing mainly on hard surfaces, things with right angles, and basically the structure of this house that we're going to be creating. So just to break it down, what we're going to be doing is, first we're going to work on the structure, the overall structure of the house. That's to say, the walls, the ceilings, the floor, and it seems pretty simple, floors, walls, ceilings, big deal, right? But once we get into it, you're going to see that it has its challenges, its hidden challenges that don't reveal themselves at first, but they'll pop up one after the other continuously, and we're going to go ahead and address those challenges. We're also going to be working on different details, because we're not just going to create an empty house. We have to create furnishings for it. We have to create furniture and details and all kinds of different things, even things as simple as doors all the way to tables and chairs and all kinds of things. So we're going to go ahead and take care of that. So it's a pretty big project. We have a lot to do, and it's going to be broken up over several tutorials. Alright, so that's pretty much the project overview of what we're going to be working on. So I'm going to end this video here, and in the next one we're going to go ahead and import and set up some blueprints that we're going to use to get started and start creating this project.